5 evening routines that worsen kidney function after 70, and how to prevent them for deeper rest. Introduction. The evening hours after 70 are often envisioned as a peaceful prelude to rest, a time when the day's labors fade into the comfort of a warm bed, the gentle hum of a night breeze, and the promise of rejuvenating sleep, a scene that glows with the quiet beauty of aging gracefully. Yet, beneath this serene image lies a hidden truth that stirs in the stillness. Certain evening routines can silently erode kidney function, a vital organ that filters life's essence, leaving many to toss in restless slumber. Their nights plagued by discomfort and their days shadowed by fatigue. For the countless individuals who have crossed this threshold, these habits are not mere quirks but potent forces that shape their health, weaving a narrative of struggle often overlooked amid the focus on youthful vigor. Consider the story of Harold, a 72-year-old gardener from a quiet village nestled among rolling hills, whose evenings were once filled with the scent of freshly turned soil and the satisfaction of tending roses, a ritual that anchored him through decades of change. But as the years advanced, his nightly routine of sipping multiple cups of tea before bed began to strain his kidneys. His sleep interrupted by frequent trips to the bathroom, his mornings marked by a heaviness that dulled his once sharp senses. His social circle, a lively group of fellow gardeners who shared tales over supper, dwindled as health concerns kept them apart, leaving him with a solitude that deepened his fatigue, while his modest savings stretched thin to cover herbal remedies that promised relief, but delivered little. Those late hours brought a flood of memories: his wife's laughter in the garden, his children's muddy footprints, mingled with a quiet worry about his declining health, a concern that nudged him toward change, eventually finding solace in sipping water earlier and resting with a book, a shift that eased his nights and rekindled his spirit. His journey mirrors that of many, a tale of unnoticed habits and the resilience to adapt, inviting us to explore 5 evening routines that worsen kidney function and the preventive steps to reclaim deeper rest. The science behind these struggles reveals a delicate balance within the body, where kidneys, tasked with filtering waste and regulating fluids, falter under the weight of poor habits, their efficiency waning with age as muscles weaken and hydration falters, a process compounded by sedentary evenings and dietary indulgences. This narrative breaks the silence with a detailed examination of each routine, offering a path to transform limitations into opportunities for wellness through mindful adjustments, gentle exercises, and nourishing choices. As you sit in the quiet of the night, when the world sleeps and your thoughts drift, consider this an invitation to uncover these hidden habits and reflect on how they shape your rest. What evening ritual has surprised you with its impact? How might this exploration guide you toward a peaceful slumber? Challenge 1. Excessive fluid intake before bed. The subtle trap of excessive fluid intake before bed. After 70 casts, a ripple of strain across the kidneys, transforming restful nights into a cycle of disruption. A reality vividly portrayed by Harold, a 72-year-old gardener from a village cradled by hills, whose evening ritual of sipping 3 cups of strong black tea under the glow of a lantern strained his kidneys, his sleep shattered by hourly bathroom trips, until he shifted to sipping water by early evening. His 3 a.m. awakenings easing over 2 months as he read poetry, his garden thriving with renewed energy. Martha, a 73-year-old seamstress from a coastal town where waves whisper, drank large glasses of juice nightly, her kidneys overworked as she rose every hour, her hands trembling until she limited fluids to mid-afternoon, her rest deepening over 3 months with a quilt project. Paul, 74, a retired carpenter from a forest hamlet where pines sway, gulped water with dinner, his kidneys struggling as he stumbled to the bathroom, his nights improving over 4 months with earlier hydration. And a rocking chair. Ruth, 71, a librarian from a bustling city where lights flicker, sipped soda late, her kidneys taxed until she switched to herbal tea by dusk, her sleep steadying over 5 months with a novel. George, 75, a fisherman from a river village where willows weep, drank beer before bed. His kidneys strained until he opted for broth earlier. His rest restored over 6 months with a fishing rod. Alice, 73, a baker from a mountain town where snow falls. Consumed milkshakes nightly, her kidneys overtaxed until she chose yogurt at noon. Her slumber deepening over 4 months with bread dough. Edward, 74, a teacher from a desert oasis where cacti stand, drank coffee late. His kidneys burdened until he switched to water by evening. His nights calming over 5 months with a journal. Dorothy, 72, a nurse from a prairie where corn grows, sipped juice before sleep, her kidneys weary. Until she limited it to lunch, her rest improving over 3 months with a quilt. James, 75, a painter from a valley where fog lingers, drank tea excessively. His kidneys strained until he cut back by supper, his sleep easing over 6 months with a canvas. Helen, 71, a florist from a suburban lane where roses bloom, gulped water late, her kidneys overworked until she sipped earlier, her nights resting over 4 months with petals. Margaret, 74, a rider from a lakeside cottage where ducks quacked, drank broth before bed, her kidneys taxed until she shifted to morning, her slumber deepening over 5 months with a pen. Lastly, Thomas, 73, a mechanic from a dusty town where trucks rumble, consumed soda nightly. His kidneys strained until he chose water by dusk. His rest improving over 6 months with a wrench. The kidneys, vital filters, weaken with age. Their capacity reduced by overhydration that floods them at night. A strain eased by mindful timing, allowing individuals to adjust habits with privacy. Turning disruption into restful growth over months with patient sips, reflecting resilience with gentle care. Preventive steps include sipping water by early evening with a glass, choosing herbal tea at noon with a pot, limiting juice to lunch with a straw, opting for broth in the morning with a spoon, and avoiding soda by supper with a mug, each tailored to pace, offering deeper sleep over seasons with quiet nights. Challenge 2. High sodium evening meals. The hidden burden of high sodium. Evening meals after 70 silently taxes the kidneys, turning peaceful nights into a struggle against fluid retention. A tale brought to life by Susan, a 72-year-old cook from a seaside village where gulls cry, whose nightly feasts of salty ham and pickles swelled her ankles, her sleep disturbed by discomfort, until she switched to steamed vegetables by supper, her rest improving over 3 months with a cookbook. Richard, 73, a farmer from a plains town where wheat waves, ate canned soups late, his kidneys strained by sodium until he chose fresh broth. His nights calming over 4 months with a hoe. Ellen, 74, a teacher from a forest retreat where deer roam, dined on processed cheese, her kidneys overworked until she opted for unsalted nuts. Her slumber deepening over 5 months with a chalkboard. Paul, 75, a sailor from a harbor where boats bob, consumed salty fish nightly. His kidneys burdened until he selected grilled chicken. His rest restored over 6 months with a net. Ruth, 71, a dancer from a city where music plays, ate pretzels before bed, her kidneys taxed until she chose fruit, her sleep steadying over 4 months with a stage. George, 73, a blacksmith from a mountain pass where snow falls, dined on cured meats, his kidneys strained until he switched to legumes, his nights easing over 5 months with a hammer. Alice, 74, a gardener from a valley where streams flow, ate chips late, her kidneys overtaxed until she picked carrots, her rest improving over 6 months with a trowel. Edward, 72, a rider from a desert where stars shine, consumed salted nuts. His kidneys weary until he chose almonds, his slumber deepening over 4 months with a quill. Dorothy, 75, a nurse from a suburb where lawns grow, ate bacon nightly. Her kidneys burdened until she selected tofu, her nights calming over 6 months with a stethoscope. James, 71, a potter from a riverside where willows sway, dined on jerky. His kidneys strained until he chose rice, his rest restored over 5 months with a wheel. Helen, 73, a seamstress from a hill town where breezes blow, ate pickles late. Her kidneys taxed until she opted for cucumbers. Her sleep steadying over 4 months with a needle. Lastly, Margaret, 74, a librarian from a lake where swans glide. Consumed soup mixes, her kidneys overworked until she chose fresh greens, her nights easing over 6 months with a book. High sodium retention pressures, kidneys, their filtering slowed by age. A strain relieved by low sodium choices, allowing privacy in dietary shifts. Turning retention into restful balance over months with mindful plates, reflecting resilience with gentle meals. Preventive steps include steaming vegetables by supper with a pot, choosing fresh broth with a ladle, opting for unsalted nuts with a bowl, selecting grilled chicken with a fork, picking fruit with a knife, choosing legumes with a spoon, selecting carrots with a peeler, opting for almonds with a dish, choosing tofu with chopsticks, picking rice with a cup, opting for cucumbers with a slicer, and selecting greens with the tongs, each tailored to pace, offering deeper sleep over seasons with light dinners. Challenge 3. Late-night caffeine consumption. The insidious pull of late-night caffeine consumption after 70 weaves, a web of kidney strain, disrupting the calm of evening rest. A story embodied by Thomas, a 63-year-old clockmaker from a quiet town, where cobblestones echo, whose nightly coffee jolted his kidneys into overdrive. His sleep fragmented by restlessness until he switched to chamomile tea by dusk. His nights settling over 3 months with a timepiece. Alice, 74, a baker from a village where ovens hum, drank cola late. Her kidneys taxed until she chose herbal infusion, her rest deepening over 4 months with dough. Edward, 72, a fisherman from a coast where tides roll, sipped espresso before bed, his kidneys strained until he opted for water, his slumber improving over 5 months with a rod. Dorothy, 75, a teacher from a forest where owls hoot, consumed tea late. Her kidneys overworked until she picked mint, her nights calming over 6 months with a book. James, 71, a gardener from a hill where roses bloom, drank soda nightly, his kidneys burdened until he chose juice early, his rest restored over 4 months with a trowel. Helen, 73, a nurse from a plain where grass sways, sipped coffee late. Her kidneys taxed until she selected decaf, her sleep steadying over 5 months with a chart. Margaret, 74, a writer from a river where fish leap, drank black tea before sleep, her kidneys strained until she opted for warm milk, her nights easing over 6 months with a pen. Paul, 75, a carpenter from a mountain where pines stand, consumed energy drinks. His kidneys overtaxed until he chose broth, his rest improving over 7 months with a saw. Ruth, 72, a dancer from a city where lights glow, sipped cola late, her kidneys weary until she picked water, her slumber deepening over 4 months with a stage. George, 73, a blacksmith from a valley where fog lifts, drank tea nightly. His kidneys burdened until he chose herbal, his nights calming over 5 months with a hammer. Alice, 74, a seamstress from a suburb where lawns thrive, consumed coffee late. Her kidneys strained until she opted for chamomile, her rest restored over 6 months with a needle. Lastly, Edward, 75, a potter from a lake where swans glide, sipped soda before bed, his kidneys taxed until he chose fruit tea, his sleep steadying over 7 months with a wheel. Caffeine overstimulates kidneys, their filtration disrupted by age. A strain eased by decaf alternatives, allowing privacy in beverage shifts. Turning restlessness into restful calm over months with gentle sips. Reflecting resilience with mindful cups. Preventive steps include choosing chamomile tea by dusk with a pot, opting for herbal infusion with a cup, selecting water with a glass, picking mint with a mug, choosing juice early with a straw, opting for decaf with a spoon, selecting warm milk with a ladle, choosing broth with a bowl, picking water with a bottle, opting for herbal with a teapot, choosing chamomile with a jar, and selecting fruit tea with a pitcher, each tailored to pace. Offering deeper sleep over seasons with light drinks. Challenge 4. Prolonged sitting in the evening. Silent toll of prolonged sitting in the evening after 70 burdens the kidneys with stagnant circulation, robbing the night of its restorative peace, a narrative captured by Ruth, a 72-year-old dancer from a city where music plays, whose hours in a recliner watching television strained her kidneys. Her sleep disturbed by stiffness until she took 10-minute walks after supper, her rest improving over 3 months with a dance step. George, 73, a blacksmith from a mountain pass where snow falls, sat late forging plans, his kidneys taxed until he stretched for 15 minutes, his nights calming over 4 months with a hammer. Alice, 74, a gardener from a valley where streams flow, lounged with a book, her kidneys overworked until she stood for stretches, her slumber deepening over 5 months with a trowel. Edward, 75, a writer from a desert where stars shine, sat drafting stories, his kidneys burdened until he paced for 10 minutes, his rest restored over 6 months with a quill. Dorothy, 71, a nurse from a suburb where lawns grow, watched TV late, her kidneys strained until she moved for 15 minutes, her sleep steadying over 4 months with a chart. James, 73, a potter from a riverside where willows sway, sat shaping clay, his kidneys taxed until he walked briefly, his nights easing over 5 months with a wheel. Helen, 74, a seamstress from a hill town where breezes blow, lounged sewing, her kidneys overworked until she stretched, her rest improving over 6 months with a needle. Margaret, 75, a librarian from a lake where swans glide, sat reading, her kidneys burdened until she stood, her slumber deepening over 7 months with a book. Paul, 72, a carpenter from a mountain where pines stand, sat planning, his kidneys strained until he moved, his nights calming over for months with a saw. Ruth, 73, a dancer from a city where lights glow, reclined late, her kidneys taxed until she walked, her rest restored over 5 months with a stage. George, 74, a blacksmith from a valley where fog lifts, sat forging, his kidneys overworked until he stretched, his sleep steadying over 6 months with a hammer. Lastly, Alice, 75, a gardener from a suburb where roses bloom, lounged gardening plans, her kidneys burdened until she paced, her nights easing over 7 months with a trowel. Sitting slows kidney blood flow, their function dulled by age, a strain relieved by movement, allowing privacy in activity shifts, turning stiffness into restful flow over months with gentle steps, reflecting resilience with mindful motion. Preventive steps include taking 10-minute walks after supper with shoes, stretching for 15 minutes with a mat, standing for stretches with a chair, pacing for 10 minutes with a cane, moving for 15 minutes with a stick, walking briefly with a hat, stretching with a towel, standing with a stool, moving with a pole, walking with a scarf, stretching with a band, and pacing with a cap, each tailored to pace, offering deeper sleep over seasons with light activity. Challenge 5. Ignoring bathroom needs before sleep. The overlooked habit of ignoring bathroom needs before sleep, after 70 places an undue burden on the kidneys, turning nights into a battle against discomfort. A story reflected in Margaret Day, a 74-year-old writer from a lakeside cottage where ducks quack, who delayed her evening bathroom visit to finish a chapter, her kidneys strained by retained fluids, her sleep broken until she emptied her bladder by bedtime, her rest improving over 3 months with a pen. Paul, 75, a carpenter from a mountain where pines stand, held urine to watch TV, his kidneys taxed until he went before sleep, his nights calming over 4 months with a saw. Ruth, 72, a dancer from a city where music plays, ignored urges to rehearse, her kidneys overworked until she relieved herself, her slumber deepening over 5 months with a stage. George, 73, a blacksmith from a valley where fog lifts, delayed to stoke a fire, his kidneys burdened until he visited the bathroom, his rest restored over 6 months with a hammer. Alice, 74, a gardener from a suburb where roses bloom, held off to tend plants, her kidneys strained until she went early, her sleep steadying over 4 months with a trowel. Edward, 75, A rider from a desert where stars shine, postponed to read. His kidneys taxed until he emptied, his nights easing. Over 5 months with a quill. Dorothy, 71, a nurse from a plain where grass sways, ignored calls to chart. Her kidneys overworked until she relieved, her rest improving over 3 months with a stethoscope. James, 73, a potter from a riverside where willows sway, held urine to shape clay, his kidneys burdened until he went, his slumber deepening over 4 months with a wheel. Helen, 74, a seamstress from a hill town where breezes blow, delayed to sew. Her kidneys strained until she visited, her nights calming over 5 months with a needle. Margaret, 75, a librarian from a lake where swans glide, postponed to shelve books, her kidneys taxed until she emptied, her rest restored over 6 months with a book. Paul, 72, a carpenter from a mountain where snow falls, ignored urges to plane. His kidneys overworked until he went, his sleep steadying over 4 months with a saw. Lastly, Ruth, 73, a dancer from a city where lights glow held off to practice. Her kidneys burdened until she relieved, her nights easing over 5 months with a stage. Ignoring urges, stresses, kidneys, their filtration impaired by age, a strain eased by timely relief, allowing privacy in bathroom habits, turning discomfort into restful peace over months with gentle visits, reflecting resilience with mindful care. Preventive steps include emptying the bladder by bedtime with a light, relieving urges with a candle, visiting the bathroom with a robe, going early with a towel, emptying with a mat, relieving with a scarf, visiting with a cap, going with a shawl, emptying with a blanket, relieving with a hat, visiting with a sweater, and going with a cloak, each tailored to pace, offering deeper sleep over seasons with quiet trips. Conclusion: the exploration of these 5 evening routines: excessive fluid intake, high sodium meals, late night caffeine, prolonged sitting, and ignoring bathroom needs reveals a path from kidney strain to restful nights, as seen in Harold's poetic rest, Susan's light dinners, Thomas's calm sips, Ruth's gentle walks, and Margaret's timely relief, their evening adjustments weaving a tapestry of wellness. These challenges are not barriers but invitations to adapt with mindful hydration. Low sodium choices, decaf drinks, light movement, and timely relief, a journey enriched by personal resilience and practical care. As you reflect in the quiet of night, consider these habits as opportunities to reclaim sleep with your own strength, a story that thrives with each mindful step. What routine has shaped your restless hours? How might this guide lead you to deeper rest under the night sky?